Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome back to another Gaming University reaction, and the next part in the Psychology of Psychonauts series that they're doing. So yeah, I'm sorry it's been a while since I did my last reaction, the last one being to the level Black Velveeta. Again, things come up and I have so many videos on the back burner, I kind of forget about some of them. And here we have the one about the last level of Psychonauts, the Meat Circus, which, God, I remember having so much fun with that one. So, I mean, if you didn't know, I have done full playthroughs of both Psychonauts 1 and 2, and when I was playing through Meat Circus, specifically the one part where you're kind of like climbing up the circus while you're fighting off the, the duplicate mind version of Rasputin's dad, I had a major bug where it just, launched me, and I just skipped the entire level in one go. Oh, what the? What happened? What is going on? Oh no.
Dad, I made it!
You cheated!
No!
I think I did! What was that? Honestly, I still can't believe that happened to me. I could not have scripted that better if I had tried. And from what I've seen, afterwards I watched, actual playthroughs of that section of the level to see how it was, and I'm quietly rather thankful because that section of the level looked very painful. But yeah, Meat Circus. I don't know how much is going. Honestly, I'm kind of interested to see how he tackles this one, since the whole thing of Meat Circus is that it's not just one mental world, it's two people's mental worlds being smushed together. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun watching him kind of parse through the level, just pointing out which was Rasputin's, which was Culture Oleander's stuff, that sort of stuff. It's gonna be fun. I like videos like this. But yeah, should probably get this thing started. So yeah, of course, as always, original videos linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day. And if you like this video or any other video that I make, I'd very much appreciate it if you gave the video a like and subscribe to my channel, because almost 3/4 of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, and I'd very much like that to change, because at this point, I'm just wanting to see how close I get to 7,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But yeah, we'll hold that out of the way. Let's get this thing started then, shall we?
By the climax of the story, Rasputin finds himself standing in the rubble of what used to be Thorny Towers. A psychic death tank operated by Coach Oleander attempts to crush him. After the tank is destroyed and it looks like victory is achieved, brain sneezing powder is unleashed, causing Raz's brain to be removed. Luckily, he's able to use telekinesis and throw his own brain into the tank along with Oleander's. At this point, their minds start to synchronize. In the dark area, a representation of Rasputin's caravan and the coach's happy meadow meet. As a result, their individual traumas bleed together to form a chimeric mental world known as the Meat Circus.
Which just, out of context, Meat Circus, that sounds really dirty, doesn't it?
As is usual, we must pause here and get one quick term out of the way before diving into the level. That is a word that describes both the nature of this mental world and the final boss of the game, an egregore. While the word has its roots in ancient Greek and Oriental cultures, as well as having appeared in the Book of Enoch, the modern use of the word was coined in the 19th century by the French occultist Elvis Levé. Egregores are a representation of a group mind that focuses on a single point. While Rasputin and Oleander have unique mental worlds, the Meat Circus is an egregore of their shared mental state. Examples of this are urban legends, cultures, corporate logos, religions, or a nation's flag. They are symbols that a group consciousness focuses on.
Wait, if that's what the modern representation of the word is, now I'm really curious as to what the older one is.
These symbols can be entities as well. In the Book of Enoch, the term egregore is used to describe angels. This refers to both faithful and fallen angels, as egregores are morally neutral and can be good or evil. While there is more to say on this topic, let's get into the story and return back later. In the opening scene, Oleander appears as a young child rather than his fully grown self. Being the first character in the game to appear as a child, one of the first questions should be, why? As confirmed by the original Psychopedia page that was run by Double Fine, young Oli is intended to be Morceau's inner child. As opposed to the war-torn landscape of basic braining where he appeared as a fully grown adult, this place reflects the scars he earned as a child. It is said that our deepest wounds are carried by the child within. Our first task today should be to examine those wounds before breaking down why unresolved traumas that scar our inner child influence every one of us. After Rasputin follows young Oleander into the caravan, he must first travel through a tunnel covered with mental cobwebs. A clear sign that whatever we find on the other side has been
touched
repressed.
in a while.
As soon as the music begins to play, we see the world as an amalgamation of Rasputin's memories of the Aquato family circus and Oleander's childhood memories of his father's butcher shop.
Honestly, again, like, that's one of those things I'm kind of sad they didn't bring back in the sequel. Like, the concept of mental cobwebs. Like, granted, like, I could see it, like, them removing it as more, you know, just sort of streamlining, you know, it's like, oh, it's not really relevant to the story or something. But at the same time, like, the visual of mental cobwebs and the whole thing of, like, oh, they're from parts of your mind that you haven't thought about or accessed in a long time. Like, there's a lot of potential storytelling there that just kind of just went to the wayside in the sequel.
Throughout the meat circus, Raz must protect Oli and his rabbit as they run from various dangers, reflecting his most deep-rooted fear.
All of which are also
in
rabbits.
In the mental vault, it is shown that as a child, Oleander enjoyed playing with the bunnies. As a butcher, his father took one and killed it in front of him. From this point forward, Oleander's inner child was repressed into his happy meadow, a place that's safe from the butcher. However, this happy meadow was discovered at the start of the mental world, giving the child no safe place to hide. Earlier, the question was posed, why does he appear as a child? After this traumatic event, the innocent part of him was lost, hidden away. In the psychological sense, he disassociated from the child. In shamanic terms, he experienced a phenomenon known as soul loss. If a child with a passion for art is forced into the family business of medicine, they will lose a part of their soul in the process. Your dreams and desires become locked away. In order to function in the world, sometimes we disassociate from our authentic self in order to avoid pain, to be accepted, and to be loved.
God, yeah, and with Oleander, it's quite literally like his entire character. Like, you saw, yeah, and you remember in the other memory vaults that, you know, he wanted, like, I assume afterwards, you know, when he'd grown up, you know, he wanted to be seen, you know, more tough and strong by his father, and you know, he wanted to join the military, you know, to do that, but again, he didn't meet the minimum requirements because of his height. And then that just sort of, everything spiraled out from there.
Further details about the exact process he goes through is found in the LiPo backstory document. Again, I want everyone to keep in mind that this information is not in the game and should be considered semi-canon at best. However, it does an amazing job at fleshing out themes relevant to his characterization.
Again, like, I thinking back, like, I'm still upset that much of the information in this was never actually put into the games. Like, that's honestly, like, that's all this world building and storytelling just somewhere where most people will never get to experience it.
Oleander was the youngest of 3 brothers. His first name, Morceau, meaning a small piece or fragment, is a cruel name placed upon him, as it relates to his short stature. This went unnoticed, as in his head, he was just as big and strong as his older brothers. His self-image changed after the incident with the rabbit, however. The conversation he had with his father before the bunny's death was traumatizing to him. Before reading the quote, we must keep in mind that at that age, Oleander was first developing his ability of zoolepathy, the ability to understand and speak to animals. He felt firsthand the fear the animal went through during the following scene. Then, a dark...
Oh, I didn't know he had that. I didn't know he had, like, zoolepathy. Okay, yeah, okay, so I mean, if that wasn't already traumatic enough, you know, witnessing your father literally butcher an animal alive in front of you, being able to literally feel their fear as it happened. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's another level of horrifying right there. Wow.
Shadow cast over them, and the fun came to an abrupt stop. Maury looked up to see his dad standing over them. The boy was terrified that he was in trouble, but Butch explained it was all right. Just don't get attached to that little guy, he advised. But Daddy, he's a special bunny. He can do tricks and he can't do nothing but suck up feed. He's a runt. A what? Smallest of the litter. Can't sell him for meat, can't sell him for fur. Good for nothing, and that's why nobody wants a runt. So what do you do with him, Daddy? Butch picked up his cleaver. What do you
Really? Butch? His name was Butch? Really?
think? We feed him to the pigs. In that moment, not only was Mr. Bunny slaughtered in front of him, but the inner child of Oleander went into hiding in order to avoid the butcher's cleaver. More so, Oleander was the runt of his family's litter, and if runts are good for nothing, would he be fed to the pigs as well? From that moment forward, he worked himself to be more useful than his siblings. He did 3 times the chores, woke up early and stayed up late, doubled his study time, and did the dishes every night. To quote from the document, at school, Maury drove himself with an unheard of discipline for a young boy. He scheduled his time with a complicated chart system. He asked the teacher for extra credit work. He did every extracurricular activity that was available. He started clubs, he organized guest speakers, he ran for class president and treasurer. He graduated top of his class and could have gone to the college of his choice. As we see in the mental vault way back in base...
Oh god, that's even worse. God, and I mean, granted, like, I don't think we'll ever actually meet his father. He's probably long dead at this point in universe. But, like, I would hope, the father didn't mean that, pointed towards his son. It was more just, a little Oleander taking things to, an extreme. But for a fact that the father would have never remembered actually even saying that to him, like, at all. I mean, what is the saying? How does the saying go? The axe the axe forgets, but the tree remembers. And just the whole thing where, and again, that's that whole thing. Like, we never actually see Oleander's actual father. We only see him through, like, memories and mental constructs, and memories are fallible. They are so fallible. Who's to say that, like, all the scariness and the big, like, tough bravado and stuff like that, who's to say that's actually what his father was actually like? And not just, past memories being shaped by the trauma. God, I mean, honestly, the more I think about this, the worse it gets. It honestly really does. Ugh.
Basic braining, college was not his goal, however. Oleander attempted to join the military. Since his father, Butch Oleander, was a former Marine, this was another attempt to avoid seeming worthless in his eyes. However, due to his height, he was kicked out of every recruiting office. He was always told the same thing: not big enough, can't drive a tank, can't jump out of a foxhole, can't do nothing but suck down rations. Once again, even though he crafted his entire identity to distance himself from the runt of a child he was, even as an adult, they told him he was not good for anything but sucking down rations. The words of his father saying how a bunny was only good to suck down feed echoed as the recruiters dismissed him. After this, he was recruited by the Psychonauts. However, they did not deploy him due to his aggressive tendencies, a maladaptive coping mechanism to disassociate from the runty and fearful child. In an article on soul loss by Matteo Sol, it is said that there's a reason why we identify with the ego and disconnect from the soul in the first place. It's a survival mechanism. We must develop a sense of self, a separate sense of me, in the world in order to function. But simultaneously developing an ego, which is basically one big defense mechanism to ensure that we are loved, accepted, taken care of, avoid pain, etc., means we lose touch with the authentic essence of who we truly are. The soul. Oleander lost touch with his authentic self.
That's a version of that I've never heard of. I mean, like, I've of course, heard of the whole, like, Freudian thing of, the id, ego, superego, and stuff like that. But I never heard of I'm imagining this whole part, obviously wasn't made by Freud himself. But, like, I'd never imagine, the id, and, all that, the ego and stuff like that, all being considered separate from the true self. I mean, granted, I have heard of, the whole thing where like you're always wearing a different mask depending on who you're like around and stuff. But that's a whole nother level right there. Jeez.
The more the child hid from the butcher, the more his identity became shaped around gaining his father's approval. Out of a mixture of fear of the butcher and desire to please his father, young Oleander crafted himself into a person who was not worthless like the runt of the litter. In this manner, he would be psychologically safe from the cleaver.
Which, actually thinking about it, like looking back, how did Oleander lose his eye? Because obviously he has the one fake eye that doesn't move at all compared to his one real eye. How did he lose it if he never went to war?
But the fear never left him. In the basic braining world, we see this influence. Cleaver figments can be found, flowers made of meat erupt from the ground, and if clairvoyance is used on the rabbit, they see Raz as a butcher holding a bloody tool. The room where he kept the plans have white rabbits adorned all along the walls. In the brain tumbler experiment, the runt bunny acts as Rasputin's guide and takes him to the tower where Dr. Lobato resides. This small bunny is linked to Oleander's childhood, and it is possible that it is here because a part of his mind is trying to help. The enemies in the meat circus are twisted versions of the bunnies that have been pushed through a meat grinder. While sleeping, Maury can be heard begging with his father to not hurt the bunnies.
Papa! No! No! Oh, Papa! Oh, Mr. Bunny!
Despite being an adult now,
God, I didn't sit around to listen to those as anywhere near long enough. I never came across that one, at least I don't think.
now the scars carried from his inner child bubble up to the surface on occasion. Repressing something rather than allowing it to heal causes the scar to become infected and grow more itchy as time goes on. By the time he was the coach of Whispering Rock and he received news that his father had passed away, something snapped in him. He would never be able to prove himself to his dad anymore. So instead, he decided to prove something to the world. Being stationed over the Titanium deposit, he became more unstable and began to collaborate with Dr. Lobato. At this point, the only solution is to de-escalate the situation. Rasputin enters his mind and performs the shamanistic process of soul retrieval to locate, protect, and reintegrate Oleander's inner child or authentic self with his conscious personality, to let the frightened little boy know it's safe to come out of hiding. As with most rituals of this nature, Raz will not be a passive observer. He will be forced to go through the same psychological turmoil. Taking the role of the medicine man in this soul retrieval mission, if Raz cannot confront and overcome Oleander's demons, he'll be unable to help the coach do it for himself.
God, man, thinking back, even this part I really hated doing. Because again, like, you're having to, like, both baby the literal child self there while fighting off the monsters. It's like, well, and while also, you know, having to work with, you know, the Mr. Bunny there as well. So it's like, it's an escort quest on steroids. Ugh.
How can he help someone else overcome their trauma if he is unable to overcome that very same trauma? In this case, Maury...
Yeah, because everybody has daddy issues. Whoop-de-doo!
Maury's fears of his father mirrors Rasputin's own issues. After confronting Butch the first time, a horrific version of Augustus Aquato arrives. His entire life, Rasputin has been told that psychics are scourges, that they killed and cursed his family. As a result, when his psychic abilities began to develop, the boy believed he was resented for something that he had no control over, that he was hated by his father. Just as Oleander was the runt of the litter, Rasputin was the black sheep of the family. Oleander hid his inner child away in a meadow,
which we then learn in the second game is he's not even the only psychic in his family, so, yeah.
While Rasputin literally ran away from home. In this world, the two fathers became a hyperbolic representation of their true self, both portrayed with exaggerated and horrific characteristics that reflect the anxiety and fear the two had when thinking of their fathers. The two merged together as one, becoming the two-headed dad monster. Bosses before now were described as a tulpa or thought form, a manufactured character in our minds such as Boyd in The Den Mother or Edgar in The Bull. Oleander and Rasputin focused their shared trauma and created an egregore. Unlike the previous versions of their fathers that were separate, this one proves to be too much to handle. Luckily, right before the two-headed monster was created, the ghost that has been calling out to Rasputin the entire level bursts in, revealing itself to be his real father. Augustus, when confronted with a mental representation of himself, is shocked at how his son perceives him. This brings us to one of the most relevant themes in the world. How we imagine people in our heads is not always who they really are.
What was I was literally talking about that earlier with Oleander's dad. I mean, again, like, I can understand, like, from a business perspective, like if you are a butcher and you raise the animals yourself to, butch, the butcher, I should say, like, the whole thing is, like, you're raising the animals to make food. And, like, if you have an animal that's not going to, like, produce, enough food to really recoup the losses of, actually raising the animal, like, what is the point? Now, granted, his father could have gone about, the whole thing much better. But again, I would not be surprised if Oleander's father was nowhere near, as mean as Oleander remembered him being. Again, the whole thing of, like, the child itself kind of like making things much worse than they actually are. And again, like with the father talking about, the runt of the litter is only good enough for feed. He might have not even realized that's what he said or how Oleander even took it. Because again, there might have been a good chance that, that his father wasn't a psychic at all. And didn't know that his son was developing psychic powers. So of course, wouldn't know that, his son's ability to, like, communicate and read the minds of animals would be very bad when you literally butcher one right in front of them. Which again, that's another very bad thing to have done. Ugh.
Person perception is the mental process used to form our impressions of other individuals. When meeting a person on the street, we do form snap judgments. The trouble is this can create errors in our mental image of them. Implicit personality theory is a bias one can make of another based upon limited information. Certain traits are linked to others, so we rationalize that if we observe one trait, it means the linked traits are also true. By observing a cardinal trait or dominant personality trait, we make judgments about the rest of the person's beliefs and personalities. Raz heard stories from his father about how psychics ruined their lives. Therefore, he must hate psychics. Since Raz is a psychic, Augustus must hate him. Oleander's father believes runty animals are good for nothing but being used as pig feed. Oleander is a runt among his brothers, so his father must see him as worthless as well. The logical fallacy here is that while the cardinal trait is true, the presumption of the two boys using implicit personality theory is completely false. If Augustus Aquato and Butch Oleander had simply had a conversation with their sons to put their minds at ease, maybe Morso's life would have taken a different path, or Rasputin wouldn't have felt the need to run away from home. While Morso was not lucky enough to have a father to notice that his son was struggling, Augustus did. After tracking him down and entering the meat circus, he gave all of his powers to his son in order to confront the egregore of their shared daddy issues. With the beast defeated, the minds separate. With this experience behind them, both Oleander and Rasputin are able to begin walking the road to recovery.
Okay, God, it's nice to watch one of those again. I remember really liking both of those games, but I like learning the actual, like, science behind, psychology when it comes to, when you have a video game that literally takes place, inside people's minds. And again, like, before this, I had never even considered that Oleander's memories and thoughts of his father could have been completely flawed. And, like, just, the whole, like, thing that, a child's mind can make, extreme assumptions. So an example for me is when I was I'm trying to remember, this was either in, like, 2nd or 3rd grade, I got it into my mind that I could start raising money to, get the steam locomotive that was at the exhibition grounds. Now it's located downtown at the Toronto Railway Museum, Canadian National 6213. I got into my mind that I was going to start raising money to, get it rebuilt so we could become operational. With my thought process being that, I could start collecting money now that I'm really young, and by the time that I'm older, I'll have a lot of money to donate so that, things can actually start happening. And the first place I decided I was going to start collecting money was the schoolyard during recess. Now, I'd say about like maybe halfway through recess, a teacher came running out asking me what I was doing. Presumably because, you know, somebody told her that, hey, one of the students is going around asking other kids for money. And I told her what my plan was, and she told me that if I wanted to do that, I had to, you know, become registered as a charity, you know, do the paperwork and stuff like that. And in my little childhood brain, I interpreted that as you're breaking the law and the police are on their way to arrest you right now. So after she left, I then spent the rest of recess running around to all the kids that had actually given me money, because I had gathered like 73 cents or something like that. And I tried to return it so that I wouldn't be breaking the law anymore. So, yeah, children are not stupid, they're just very inexperienced. But yeah, that's definitely going to be it for now. So yeah, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.